Episode 260 of the TV Dudes, recorded November 13th, 2019. Castles and Explosions. So this is going to be an episode all about the show Castle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to
talk
talk
also
about
the show Explosions.
Yes.
Two very, very great shows.
Yes, yeah. Explosions is actually my favorite reality show.
I mean, there's so many possibilities with
Yeah.
a name like Explosions.
You can call it Mythbusters, but it's Explosions. No, we're actually talking about, we're going to talk about Castle Rock over on Hulu. No actual castles that I've seen so far.
That's disappointing.
Watchmen on HBO, his Dark Materials over on HBO, Catherine the Great over on HBO, and then we're going to close out with a quick rundown of Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. And before we get to that, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Mariah.
And yeah, so I'm just gonna. Do we have anything we want to preface this with? We want to talk about. I guess there was a network that launched this week.
Was there?
Yeah,
I heard some rumblings.
yeah, a mom.
That startup did the app.
Yeah, like a little mom and pop shop called
Yeah.
Disney has a new app called Disney Plus.
Hopefully now with all the new subscribers, they can hire up enough programmers. And
Yeah, so Disney Plus premiered this week. It was predictably rocky, but actually, I mean,
it was pretty smooth for the jillion and a half. I don't know.
they got like 10 million people signing up the
Like
day
it
of.
worked. It went better than a lot of video game launches I read about.
Yeah.
I don't experience those because I don't really play video games, but
I never really like signing up for apps the day they launch, just because I think these are the problems,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember being an early adopter of Hulu because I was like poor and in college and they
Yeah.
played stuff the next day, which seemed cool for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But even then, you know, like their UX, UI has gotten better and better over time. And so I'm like, I'll just let that hang out for a while.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I think the Disney app so far, I have to say, I've been pretty impressed. I've watched it on 4 different platforms. I watched it on iPad and Apple TV and 2 different Rokus, one older, one newer. And on day one, I didn't have any trouble at all.
How many TVs do you have in your house?
Okay, it's not in my house. I was in different places. I was at work. I was in a different place. That was in 3 different locations. I'm not that
he
crazy.
has a bodysuit he wears. It's covered in screens, and
Look,
he watches TV in it.
I do a TV podcast.
I know. I think the only people I know who are more obsessed with screens in their home are like soccer, football fans.
Yeah, that
'Cause,
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, we had a family member who had a setup so that they could literally never not be without a screen when the game was on.
Yeah, so you walk from a room and another screen lights up
Yep.
and just
Like, but the 80s version of that,
All
you know,
wrong
this
all
is
the
like
time.
in the late
Ed
80s,
TV
early
mirror on the
90s.
hamper from the toilet that lets you see the TV.
Right, it's like the TV's on the swivel so you could angle it for the toilet. Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, big cathode TV.
I'm sure.
Oh, that's
They
amazing.
have a TV on top of that TV when it burns out.
It's just
Old
they were
school
all
picture-in-picture.
big cabinet. But yeah, so but I watched all those. I downloaded it like as it came out that night.
I was actually interested to hear if there would be some like quote unquote mystery buggy weirdness with Apple TV, like
Right.
with watching Disney on
Oh, because
Apple or
Apple
want-
also just
'cause,
launched.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
every once in a while in tech, we see these what just appear to be like pissing contests of bugs.
Yeah.
on like, oh no, that just doesn't work on that because they don't play together.
Yeah, and instead, I mean, I got Apple and started watching The Mandalorian and thought, well, it's weird. It's not surprising, but it didn't add into Apple TV's queue. Like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be like Netflix, where it doesn't actually sync up with their TV queue. That's not super surprising. The next morning, it did. Like they had planned all this. They integrated with Apple. I'm kind of shocked, given that Apple just launched Apple TV Plus.
They
All-
still want your money.
They still want my money. They
All
got
the
my
stuff
money.
that I thought was funny, they had fixed by like end of day. Like when I first logged onto the app, it was almost like they were loading stuff on live.
Someone's just dragging
And
things.
so like you could click on it, like it's 10:05. There are 6 Simpsons episodes. It's 10:43. There's 12 Simpsons episodes.
There was some poor guy in a mouse costume was loading in like coal into a chute.
I think seriously somebody was going through and tagging crap. Like
man, that's
because at
actually,
one point,
I do know how this works. So
Okay.
back when I was doing graduate studies, so I have a master's degree in media management. I have a science degree. They give those
Hell
away.
yeah.
Anyway, so the way they explained it to me is like in neighborhoods. So the reason like Netflix streaming can work the way it does globally is there's essentially like Netflix hubs that are all connected to the either DSL, like whatever network provider you have, right? There
right.
are Netflix like storage facilities like
Okay.
around the world, and that's where stuff is stored. And so I bet it's because like the storage places
haven't fully updated.
fully updated everything.
Oh,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
That
So
makes
They're
sense.
kinda waiting
depending-
to repopulate. Yeah.
Right. And so like I would think it probably is like whatever wherever their launch point is, like wherever their headquarters are, and however they've decided to grow everything, where
Yeah.
all of that stuff is going to be stored, wherever
It's
the
on
data
that
centers
private
are.
island for only rich people.
Exactly. The private island got everything immediately, but now it's slowly building
Somewhere
its
Lex
way
Luthor's
out.
got his fingers tinted and he's watching the little dots on the screen spread out as Netflix or as Disney's influence.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this how Dorothy and those guys felt when they looked behind the curtain and there was like just this guy with a weather balloon? Because I always thought it was like magic pixie dust that made it all come to my TV. But there's
No, it's just
a series
boxes.
of
It's
boxes.
just empty warehouses full of data centers.
Are you saying Ted Stevens was right? All right.
It's just humming data centers.
Let's jump over and talk about Hulu. And they
Disney also owns
Disney
like 60
also
or 70%
owns-
of.
so
They own 70% of you. Do you
Yes,
not, do you
yes.
not
Yeah.
know
Well,
that?
it used to be 70% water, but water's now Disney.
yeah, that's
Yes.
true. No, that's Nestle. Disney
Also
hasn't
owned
bought
by
them yet.
Also owned by Disney.
Oh, is it really?
I would not be
It could be.
surprised.
It could be. Yeah, a friend of mine was like, she wants to watch The Mandalorian. She's a big Star Wars fan. She's like, I can't give Disney my money, and I'm like, I
There's
understand
no
your
way
principle.
you're not giving Disney your money.
You're
though.
giving
But
Disney
you're
your money
giving
no
Disney
matter
money
what.
right now.
unconsciously somehow. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've made that argument several times. Like, I understand that, but
I
you're
don't think
probably
there's a
paying
way
them
to
for your
boycott
air.
them and live within the contiguous United States.
Yeah, no, you can only live on the private island they own,
Yes.
and then they're giving you money. That's how that works. But anyway, Hulu has the second season of Castle Rock, which is their Stephen King shared universe horror story. Did you guys watch season 1 of this?
I did.
No. Les, you got through the end of season 1. I never got through the end. I got like episode 6,
I was underwhelmed.
lost
by
track, and
season
then
one.
got
What's
lost.
like like if you give me the log line of season 1?
So Castle Rock is a town
Yes.
in Maine?
Of course, it's Stephen
Is it
King.
not Maine?
I don't know.
I feel like it's Maine.
I feel like
Anyway,
it's Maine.
there's a
Maine-ish.
town called Castle Rock, and in the first episode there's a prison break, or like no, it's not a prison
No,
break.
it's Shawshank. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's a prison break.
At
Shawshank
Shawshank
It
prison, the warden kills himself.
Okay.
If there was
It's
a
a
town
prison storyline.
Yes,
Okay.
some recognizable parallel world variant on every Stephen King plot you have ever heard
Yeah.
are all happening in this town
Yeah.
at like an American Horror Story level combination of elements of like, oh, cool, let's just add in a sixth.
Does it
plot.
get to like the jump the shark level by
That's the
like
problem.
episode 10?
It doesn't take till
Never
episode
did.
10.
Well, but for me, it never went.
Yeah.
It never. The start of season 1 had this promise that it was going to go as like bug shit crazy as American Horror Story does sometimes, which is also
Yeah.
my problem with American Horror Story sometimes.
It's a
Of like,
love-hate
did we need
relationship.
aliens? It was already good. Castle Rock, though, it felt like they hit like a cruising speed, and this was as creepy as they felt like they needed to get.
Uh-huh.
And then season 1 wrapped up with what was just too familiar of a plot line for me, considering the amount of genre stuff I've watched. And I don't know if maybe, I don't know, what happened to it was a plot that I'd seen in another show where I was like, I feel like the audience for Castle Rock is going to recognize this. This is not original enough to bear all of the Stephen Kingness you had available.
Right. I get that. So
And so season 2, I didn't have a lot of faith.
the reason I want to watch season 2 is a couple of friends were talking about it, and I saw that Lizzie Kaplan is playing Annie Wilkes, who is the main character of Misery, and she's playing a younger version of her. So it's like Misery Year One, and that intrigued me largely because of Lizzie Kaplan, who is great in this, playing a sort of Annie Wilkes. At this point, she has a daughter named Joy, who's a teenager. She's driving from town to town in this first episode, changing license plates, stealing antipsychotics because she's trying to keep ahead of her own mental illness, and the authorities looking for her for stealing pills, and also, it turns out, murdering someone. Her mother, maybe?
I'm not sure.
I feel like there's a wanted poster at some point. I don't know if they ever tell us who she married. So she comes into Castle Rock. She crashes her car there and winds up staying there. And there's also this family drama going on where Tim Robbins is the patriarch of this family. There's the two white sons are running a mall, an indoor mall that's like everybody pays for their stalls and that kind of thing. And it's clearly this rundown third tier on its last legs. Whereas his adopted son and daughter from maybe Ethiopia, something like that, are running they're building something on Jerusalem's Lot, which is another Stephen King thing. And there's family drama as his natural born kids are really not happy with the adopted kids. His adopted daughter is like the doctor at the hospital who is Annie Wilkes' boss, and so they're all interplay with that. And there's a murder, and it seems like somebody comes back, and we're not sure if that's actually what's going on or if Annie's hallucinating the whole thing. And I like that ambiguity. It reminds me a little bit about what worked about Undone, is this time travel or is she crazy?
I just don't want ambiguity in a Stephen King show.
I get that.
They don't have anywhere to play with that for me.
Yeah.
I don't want the will they won't they of is this a normal town is blown by the fact that it's Castle Rock.
Yeah, I get that.
And so after season 1, when they went with Misery as the lead-in for season 2, which is not my favorite King book simply because it's super normal.
Right.
There's no haunted anything or whatever. It's just hobbling a dude. And I was like, oh, so season 2 is not going to swing for the fence either.
Yeah, I get that. And I do think it is a lower key story. In watching it, I watched
But I love Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah, I watched 2.5 episodes, and it was very compelling. It's all well done. It's got good actors, good performances, good production values. And I think it falls prey to the thing that a lot of things fall prey to, which is it's in the era of prestige TV. And there's too much other good stuff on to watch. And so I don't know that I'll finish it out. But if you're a big Stephen King fan, there's some fun stuff here. There's a bit where Annie goes off for antipsychotic meds, and her daughter basically has to tie her to the bed. And they're definitely doing a visual riff on Annie, what Annie will later do to the author. And little things like that, little Easter eggs like that, I think are cool.
That was my favorite part of season 1, was watching Sissy Spacek and picking out weird Stephen King Easter eggs.
Yeah. And there's a bit of that, but you can't sustain a show on it. You have to have a great show. If you're going to do Easter egg show, you've got to have a show around it, which brings us to our next show, which is Watchmen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but I'm assuming we're all on board.
I mean, I've been in. Here's my thing. My favorite genre of anything is women kicking ass. And so this is bringing all of the things I want to watch together.
Well, and Watchmen as a graphic novel, while it's a genius work and it's pivotal for comics, it does not do well by female characters, to say the least.
Yeah, and what they're doing with this show, not just on gender, but on race as well, is really pretty impressive. That they're keeping this really heavy, not storyline, but world going.
I love President Redford.
Yeah.
It's like
You know what's funny? We were talking about this the other day.
So many national parks.
Is that President Redford is a throwaway line at the end of Watchmen, and that's in 1985. And yes, while Nixon had canonically had undone the term limit, and therefore you could have as many terms as he wanted, we have this feeling the reason that Redford is president is not just because they want to explore what happens if there's a liberal majority for 30 years, but Robert Redford agreed to come play him, and how do you not take him up on that?
Right.
Yeah.
You say, well, we asked Redford's agent. He said he was game. We got to do it now.
I know, but he hasn't shown up yet.
No, but he's going to apparently at some point, or maybe just his picture. I don't know.
I've never, if I have, it's been a very long time, and I can't remember anything from the Watchmen comics.
Okay.
I remember seeing the original movie, and I remember my spouse, who's a big fan of the comic, not liking the movie.
Yeah.
And he's been a little reluctant to watch the series just because he is not a super fan of how they've taken like the Rorschach character. But I'm
Yeah.
coming in totally blind, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is great.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, yeah, do you feel like you're missing anything, like not knowing the Watchmen story?
I mean, I can tell there's probably things that would be much more layered. Like, I still don't know who this crazy guy who looks like he's in Scottish Highlands with all the clones. Like, I'm like, I don't really understand why you're relevant to this plot yet, but you're weird, and that's cool.
Like
Like,
the squid don't have any tie to the movie at all. Like the
Yeah.
little squid rain thing in the first episode.
yeah, I mean, that to me, I mean, in this world, I'm like, oh, climate change has gotten real weird. Like,
Yeah, there's okay, so there's some elements, but you're enjoying it and you're getting what the thing about the guy, the Scottish Highland guy, is it's like it has another layer if you've read the book. But I love knowing that it works because we're on a similar level working for me, which is that every time it shows up, I am delighted by how bizarre it all is.
oh my God, the
This-
weird babies out of the lake.
This fourth episode, he's fishing babies out like and tossing them. He's like, nope,
Some of them
don't
are
like that
me.
one.
Yeah, not viable.
I was
yet.
like, this
Yeah.
looks like when I go crabbing with my family. I'm like, ah, too small. Like,
and then he is yeeting corpses into the void, and
yeah.
I was
And, like,
dying laughing as he's
The
like,
ice, like, it looks like he's trying to launch someone into space,
Yeah.
but the
Then it
suit isn't
vanishes.
working.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of theories about what's going on there, but to some extent, right now, I'm like, I'm willing to just wait until you tell me. I'm
And now this game warden, this mystery game
Yeah.
warden has come up. I'm like, who is this?
yeah, I'm happy to like. I'd happy to do the thread if you want to see like the Reddit level and the thinking about this. Listen to Who Pods the Watchmen.
Yes.
Grant and oh man, what's his co-host name? I've forgotten it now. I was just listening to it. They go deep on Watchmen every episode. It's like an hour and a half, and they're if you know Grant at all, you know he's a Lindelof fan. He's a Puzzle Box fan. He is like every theory is getting out there. You will get all kinds of info. But
Because he put it up on they put it up on Instagram the other day that
Yeah.
is Lady True the Vietnamese
The comedians.
pregnant Vietnamese lady that he
yeah, there's all kinds of little things of like,
Are
is
those-
this
are
a
her
tie into
daughters
Watchmen
their
or is it just a new character?
Yeah.
Are her daughters clones
Yeah.
of her that are getting her memories as they have
Yeah.
nightmares about him?
And I could talk for, I
Interesting.
can and have, because I run a comic book store, talk for hours about every episode of Watchmen and what my crazy theories are and what I think Adrian Veidt and his posse of clones are up to in this weird little mirror universe.
I will say I was very impressed with the giant blue vibrator. I was like, damn, girl, you got it. Get it. I feel like she was definitely disappointed with her choice, and she was probably like, I
Yeah.
should have just
Yeah.
stayed in my room
Well,
by myself.
They run a thing called the PDpedia, which is her, Agent PD is her, where they have background info. I haven't been reading it, but several of my friends have. And apparently the giant blue dildo was sort of a
The vibrator. That's not a dildo.
You're right. It's a vibrator. It's got power in the balls. Was a fuck you gift from her ex Dan Dryberg, aka Night Owl, who is in prison now.
Is that
and
the owl in her apartment?
Yeah, that's a thing. Her partner was Night Owl.
But
And-
like, is he the owl? Does
no,
he
I
turn
think
into an owl?
She probably either he had a pet owl or she bought an owl as a reminder of him or something.
I feel like
Yeah.
that owl's very unhappy in that cage.
Yeah, it's possible.
Does he go fly at night?
It's like me Auschwitz.
But the thing I love about this, it's a Lindelof puzzle box show, but it's a miniseries, so we know it's coming to an end. What is some of the stuff that's like really working for you about it, Mariah?
Oh man, I think the action sequences have been great. I really enjoy the fight choreography. Even as someone who doesn't know anything about the comics, I've been enjoying the world building. I've been really liking how they've tied it back to actual historical, things that have happened in American history. I think it's kind of a fun exploration of what coulda, woulda, shoulda, like all these different things. Obviously, there's a lot of undertone of relationship between race and police and kind of how they're portraying it on screen.
Yeah.
So I think it's tackling some like current issues in interesting ways in a completely, it's obviously not this universe, right?
Yeah.
We don't live in a place where there's a blue man on Mars who's building things and destroying them,
As far as we know.
as far as we know. And we don't have squid flying out of the sky yet.
No, that's true. Climate change is going to get real.
Yes. And then like is her the old man in the wheelchair?
Yeah.
It's her
Yeah.
grandfather,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is he getting younger? Is that like
I-
the whole thing? He's in like
or-
her solarium
or
getting
was
younger?
he just faking? I don't know.
But he looked like visibly
looks
younger.
better.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was-
That healthier, like in this last episode.
that would
Anybody
make
had the tech
sense.
to do this, it'd be Lady True.
Because Lady True is, she's got the clones, which implies, since she has the cloning and all that kind of thing, that she's the one who set up Ozymandias.
I think
in
she's
his
running,
prison or
and
whatever.
I think the idea that he's being kept there by Dr. Manhattan is a false flag. Or,
Yeah,
or
it's
fake
a red
out.
herring.
Yeah, it's a red
Yeah.
herring.
And I love this cast.
Oh, I mean, Regina King
Regina King's amazing.
is like, I
Amazing.
mean, just all day.
Yeah.
I'll watch her all
Yeah,
day.
sure.
And even though they haven't done much with Looking Glass yet,
Yeah,
Tim Blake
he's
Nelson
great.
is doing so well with it. Like, I
I mean, way to act through a mask.
Yeah.
and I like he brings a real grounded copness to this weirdness going on.
Yeah,
that works for me.
Episode 4 has that great scene where he and Angela Abar are talking.
Did you know
in
he
his,
was a racist? Well, I knew he was
he's
a white man.
White man
in
in
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
I really enjoyed too that with all of the previews of this show that it was such a fake out. Like
Yeah.
I assumed that main sheriff man was going to be throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're just like, well, damn, he's gone episode 1.
I love, for me, my favorite thing about this so far is how they're structuring the storytelling of the episodes. Like the episode, I guess it was last episode with the funeral and
Yeah, episode 3.
and Lori,
Yeah.
shooting the guy.
Yeah.
That opening with Lori setting up a sting on a vigilante and ending with
Yeah.
this funeral thing to imply. They're doing, I feel like, formal structural things with how they're laying the story out that's allowing me to have extra questions of like, are you telegraphing something or not? And maybe they're not, but it adds an extra layer where they're playing with how they're telling me the story in a
Yeah.
way that's making it more interesting for me.
Which is true to
But
the
I don't
way
feel jerked around.
Which is true to the Watchmen graphic novel as well. It used a standard 9-panel grid, but it introduced text pieces. It used flashback. It would use the fact that Dr.
whole
Manhattan
Black
experience
Freighter thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Dr. Manhattan experiences time non-linearly, so he is experiencing everything. So they told these stories as like they could jump from past to future and current, and they're doing the same thing in the show. And whereas the graphic novels about the fear of nuclear annihilation, that was an 80s fear, and so they've updated it. It's more about the fear of racial divide and militarized police and that kind of thing, while also incorporating how vigilantism ties into all that, which is such a comic book trope. It's a really beautifully constructed show,
Yeah,
and
loving it so
I'm
far.
excited to see where they go from here. All right, so let us jump from one HBO show to another sort of ambitious one, His Dark Materials.
So I remember I watched like the OG movie when it came out a super long time ago, and I remember I read the first book in like high school or college or
Yeah.
something. But it's been a minute. The cast looks great. The
Yeah.
previews look great. I mean, I am always in for these types of shows. Like I am a production design like horror, so like give it to me. You
Yeah.
know, like I want costumes, I want world building, I want crazy sets because it's like, isn't that the fun of television and movies? Is that we can build these like places that don't exist.
Yeah.
So. I have not gotten to watch it. It was on my list. And my spouse came home last night and I was like, "Do you want to watch this?" And he's like, "No, I want to watch Catherine." So I was like, "Fine."
Yeah.
So I read these books years ago, like 2001.
Probably about the same time I did, because I read them. I mean, a few years before the movie came out. I read the trilogy. I really loved the first one, and then as it went on,
I
got
remember less and less as we.
I
before the
increasingly don't
trilogy.
remember what the actual. It's Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. The
yeah.
Golden Compass was the first book,
Yeah, and then the subtle knife, and I'm trying to remember the name of the third book.
and it was pitched to me, like I think I read in Entertainment Weekly or whatever, as it's an atheist Harry Potter.
And that's he had, I believe, done some interview where he talked about just being appalled at some of the crap that his kids had to choose from to
Yeah.
read, and was like, I'm going to write a better kids trilogy than this.
Yeah.
and
I-
not necessarily to slam
I
on Harry
enjoyed it.
Potter, but
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
that he wanted to write something that was a little more complex. And I love that about these books, that like these characters are. The master at the college is so a gray character. Like everybody's got good things they do that make me go, okay, you're all right, but then also you did this selfish, shitty thing too.
Yeah.
As well as Miss Coulter's just a hell of a villain, and they
Yeah,
could
she's
not
great.
have cast her better.
Oh, it's Ruth Wilson, and
Ruth
she's
Wilson,
so
thanks to
scary.
Luther, that woman will creep me out for
Yeah.
the rest of time. I don't know that
Yeah.
she can play a good enough character
Yeah.
to fully swing her around for me. She may be cast for this for me forever.
But one of the things that's amazing is that she plays this sort of charming, the facade. It goes away very quickly. Like we see who she is by end of the in the second episode.
Into the
or-
second episode, you know that you see her rough up her demon and
Yeah,
be
and
just
it's-
shitty.
and
There's
it's
something
rough.
wrong. There's broken glass in her soul. There's something wrong with her.
But when we first meet her, she's like, oh, well, she's this empowered
fun
woman
woman,
who's
yeah.
going to raise this girl up, and that's great. And we'll see more about that. And I don't remember. I'm so glad I don't remember much of this where it's going.
She's
So-
presented that way in the book. I
Yeah.
remember too. It's like she first comes in, you're like, oh, I'm very intrigued,
Yeah.
and she seems very interesting, and then you're like, oh
Powerful
shit.
woman and a magistrate of men. And, yeah.
Yeah, and the Ewan McGregor character.
James McAvoy.
Yeah, James McAvoy, not Ewan McGregor. They're the same. Jude Law, it's right. Jude Law.
Yes.
Yeah. No, the James McAvoy character. I don't remember much of his story. I was surprised by the twist in the second episode. Like, oh, he's not just her uncle. Okay.
Well, and I feel like they're getting him across really well in the series for me, the way he was in the book. He's a swashbuckling adventurer that I want to like, but he's such a shit like father figure.
Yeah.
That he's horrible in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
The movie, I love the movie. I mean, it had Al Swearingen and Ian McKellen as a bear in a
casting
bear
was
fight.
good.
The movie was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
but they hedged their bets so hard about whether or not they'd get a sequel that they cut out everything about the other worlds, the city
Yeah.
in the sky,
Which is kind of the
all of
point.
that kind of shit. So they left off the world building that made it interesting enough to get a sequel.
Yeah.
And so going into this show, that was kind of Lisa, my wife and I's question of sitting down to watch it was like, all right, I remember what I really dug about the books.
Yeah.
That's
And
what they get it right.
And it was multiple. And the opening credit sequence, like if you know what to look for, it kind of gives it doesn't give away the plot or anything, but
Right.
it showed where they planned to go. Like to me, it showed their ambition in that the opening credit sequence shows dust. It shows multiple worlds. By episode 2, they're already dealing with multiple worlds. Like they're not burying
Yeah.
the lead on shit.
No.
They jump straight into it. And the world looks super lush and beautiful, and also the demons themselves are really well done.
So-
and they have to be characters.
I had forgotten the demons shapeshifted. Mm-hmm. So
Well,
I kept.
only when they're kids they settle
Oh,
into
that's
a
right.
form.
Yeah.
So
'Cause I
her
kept
orangutan or
watching-
whatever gibbon won't shapeshift.
Yeah, I kept watching Lyra, the lead character. I kept watching her daemon, and I'd see it. And it was like, it was
Most of them it's like a ferret type.
It's a
weasel
ferret. It looks
thing.
like a
Yeah.
ferret, and then would cut to it, and
And
it
it'd
has
be
like
a
a face and
butterfly
looks
or-
slightly different. And I'm like, is that bad CGI? And then it would start shifting. I'm like, oh right, okay, that's on purpose. It can
When
shift.
her monkey or whatever
Evil monkey, yes.
beats the shit out of it,
Yeah.
It turns into like a bigger house cat
Yeah,
type thing.
yeah, I saw that, and that was when I clued in. Like, oh right, it shapeshifts.
Yeah,
That's,
but it eventually will settle.
yeah.
I love the guy. I don't remember him from the books, but the guy with the snake is great.
Yeah, I don't remember him either, but he's like the Inquisitor or whatever going
they
around.
didn't
He's
get-
scary.
So they're jumping ahead into the later books to make sure that this structures in a way to me that pulls audiences in.
That's good.
because they don't go to the other world in the first book.
Oh, that's right.
Like they don't.
Yeah, you're right.
They just talk about it, which is fun, but it's a novel.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they're pulling this stuff in and setting this up so you've got more moving parts.
It definitely feels like a BBC HBO co-production.
Yeah,
it does. It doesn't have that. It doesn't feel Game of Thronesy
No,
or
it
anything
feels more
like
Good
that.
Omens-y.
It feels more Good Omens-y.
Not in
And-
the humor, but just in the there's something BBC about it.
Yeah, there's something BBC about it, and I can't quite put my finger on it, which is going to be a selling point for some people and a flaw for others. It's a little bit more of a flaw for me. It has a little bit, even with the budget and the cast and all that stuff, it has a little bit of that feel of the let's put on a show. Whereas I want something that draws me into such a degree like Watchmen, where I'm just like, I'm
This is a real world.
gobsmacked at the end of an hour.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm a little more
It's
distant
not
from.
quite at Watchmen for me.
Yeah.
But it gets across so much of what I liked about the books.
Yeah.
And I was so wanting, even with the flaws in the movie, I was just wanting more of that. There's so much going on in this world that's cool. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that this finds its audience and takes off.
I'm gonna
Also,
keep-
Lin-Manuel
Lin-
Miranda's still coming. Right?
He's still coming, and he's playing one of my favorite characters.
Yes.
He's the guy with the airship who was
Yes.
played by Sam Elliott in the
Yes.
movie, or was that?
That was Sam Elliott.
It was Sam Elliott,
Yeah.
which that's great. Anyway, I'm definitely going to keep watching.
Yeah, I'm on board. It's nice to have another giant, great-looking fantasy show that I really care about.
I don't think this is like their. People are like, this is their Game of Thrones, and it's not the
their
same.
Carnival Row.
Yeah, it's not the same audience at all,
Yeah, no, it's not.
and it's definitely better than Carnival Row. Although I'm not sure if it looks as pretty and well realized as a designed world, but the story is way better.
I love the airships so far.
Yeah, the airships are good. All right, so the other HBO show we wanted to mention in this episode is Catherine the Great, and Mariah, take it away.
Yeah, it's it's a where are the words I'm looking for? A short series, but that's not right.
Miniseries. It's
a miniseries. It is actually a BBC co-production, but I will tell you, it is beautiful.
Okay, all right.
The sets are incredible, the costumes are incredible, and then it's Helen fucking Mirren,
Yeah.
playing a badass queen like she is. I'm not as familiar with this as like a royal story. I feel
Right.
like we've gotten the Tudors multiple times. We've gotten
We've got the Crown, which is
we've
the
got the
modern
Crown.
day.
Yeah, you've gotten like the English monarchy down as
Yeah.
far as representation goes. So this is very interesting because it's in Russia. She is like this very interesting and controversial historical character. And she, I think is, as of episode 1, is truly someone to admire for her cunning abilities, at least. So she's managed to usurp the throne from her brother, ex-husband. Oh God, I forgot. Anyway, she usurps the throne, and she has essentially she's just always having to watch her back, right? Because she's taken it. And now she's afraid everyone else is going to try to take it from her. But, in its typical HBO historical drama, within the first, we timed it, 17 minutes in, you get a topless girl getting banged from behind. So, all
Do you think that's on the walls at the production offices of HBO?
I think they just have a checklist. It's like, okay, period piece, drama, costume, sets are done. Is a girl getting banged? Does she have her shirt on? I just think it's so fun. It's also very impractical. They wear corsets. Anyway, there's an additional love scene that I think is way more accurate. The woman is almost completely fully clothed still. And I was like, see, this makes more sense. There's too much to take off.
Everybody's out of the mood by the time you get all
Yeah.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
There's too many layers.
It's a matter of practicality.
But anyway, it's like playing with, she's trying to set up Russia as this modern society. So she's trying to get rid of slavery in Russia.
What's the period in this?
1617 something.
Okay.
16,
All right. Okay.
1674. There's a 16 and a 7 in there for sure.
All right. It is the year 7161.
7161. Yeah, it's the 18th century. There we go.
18th century. That's what I'm looking for.
Or 17th century. Wow, math, things, brain. I've been working since 9 a.m., guys, and it is a 12-hour day for me.
She was empress from 1762 until
See, 1, 7,
1796.
6.
Whoa,
I told
spoilers, Les.
I mean, I think the reason it's a miniseries is she's not there for very long. Is the feeling I'm getting even from the first ep.
So you're saying we should not expect a sequel?
No.
34 years.
Catherine the Great.
Ruling after a coup. That's fucking.
That's pretty good.
She's pretty
not bad.
dope,
Yeah.
right? And so it's very interesting. She has this kid, and it was her ex-husband. So anyway, she took it from her ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
She has this child who's never really met her, and now she needs to marry him off, but to a point where he can't really take the throne from her. She's banging this other dude on the side, and then is I'm done with you, and is really interested in this other character who seems very smart, and he's very witty. There's some good fight sequences. It's great. If you're into period piece dramas, go for it for sure. But there's a little wink and a little twinkle in the eye, from Helen Mirren. So I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, this is not generally
I'm sold. This
my
sounds
genre,
great.
But Helen Mirren almost sells me on her.
I mean, it's almost like a political drama, but just
Okay.
in costume.
Yeah, see, I do like political drama.
Yeah.
Well, and when you said it was super well costumed and everything, all I can think of is Elizabeth from back in the day. There's something about a certain level of just holy shit opulence on costume.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The pieces just look so incredibly tailored. The color choices are amazing. They've decked her. She has her own theme to her. Her kid has this theme. They're trying to downplay him as a little doty, and so he's in these muted greens and and then just the set decoration is unbelievable. I'd want to learn if they built them or if they went on location somewhere, because the painted walls, the furniture. It is
Yeah. Is this just an assembly of the best faux artists ever?
right.
Or,
Because I've been on, and this is a total sidebar, but I've been on the Harry Potter studio tour. Don't know if you're a fan of that series. But anyway, like that level of detail is something that I saw there where it was like massive budget, where they're painting and building everything because it's a magical, mystical world.
Yeah.
But
how do you
this
manage
has
this
the,
on a...
Right, yeah, how are you managing this when it is a thing that actually was real? So you can't
Right.
like play with like magical elements, Anyway, it's great.
Lastly, I want to quick mention Jack Ryan over on Amazon Prime, which Mariah and Les were. Antipathy is not even a strong enough word. Is it because it's right-wing propaganda?
I mean, that's one element.
'Cause it is.
I will give you other elements.
Yeah, okay, let me hear it.
So my father, like all fathers, has read tons of Tom Clancy novels.
Of course.
And they are toilet books. You read them when you are on the toilet.
You are not wrong.
Every dad has one in the bathroom. It is the gift you give every year for Christmas. 'Cause,
a million of them.
There's a million of them, and they're not. I'm like, the source material is already not good.
Yeah.
I assume that an AI can write these at this
probably.
point, right?
Well, there's the whole series of it's Tom Clancy's is it Rainbow Six?
Yeah, that became
which
a video game.
He's never written a single book. He's never written one of those books.
Like he was
It's Tom
dead.
Clancy's Rainbow Six. I don't think he wrote any of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's just he's like yeah, this is you guys can do this. You know how it works.
When I saw this was on our list of
Yeah.
things to watch, I was like, I could give it a chance. And then I was like, I'm going to just read. I just typed in Jack Ryan issues into Google.
I'm so disappointed you didn't watch like an episode. I want to know how far you would have gotten in before
And
you quit.
so many things. But I mean, so here's the other fun fact about Mariah. I have an art history degree specializing in Islamic art. And so reading about the way they're portraying people in the Middle East was already problematic.
Yeah.
The way it's like the damsel in distress plus Republican America, God save the USA-ish.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm out. And then I read they just decasted a woman because John Krasinski broke up with her.
Yeah. See, I don't know about any of this. Here's what I know.
I watched the first episode of season 1.
Yeah.
I think because I was interviewing the guy that plays Matisse.
Yeah.
Matisse.
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 Yeah. He's like their spec ops dude. He's their Clark.
Yeah, and that was I don't watch. I just don't give a shit about shows like this generally.
That's totally fair.
I'm not going to watch military. I didn't watch 24.
You watch
either.
24, yeah.
See, my dad loved 24. It's for dads.
Yeah,
I'm a dad.
but I've also never made it all the way through a Tom Clancy novel. Like they're just it's across the
I
board.
read
just
one
not
because
for
it was
me.
about like scuba diving, and my dad's like, "I think you'll like this one." So
and you're like, that was your present to your dad that year. I read the book. I read this book.
I read it so we could talk about it, and that was it.
So let me give you the other perspective on this. First of all, you're not wrong. The right wing of all this stuff is a thing that I didn't notice until I got a little older and started seeing it. But I grew up on 80s action movies. Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, all this stuff, which are all... The 80s was the height of right-wing popularity.
But we had a better enemy, right? We had Russia.
We had Russia. But still, if you watch Die Hard, which is so snobby about how Euro trash villains are coming here and ruining America, or Lethal Weapon, which is steeped in homophobia, shocking given its star, or it's the bootlicking, police-loving elements of every action movie in the 80s. Like, it's all there. But I didn't know that when I was a teenager watching it. All I knew was kick-ass action and well-constructed stories that like move the action plots along. So I like it did what it did well enough that is in my entertainment DNA a little bit. Like
they've brainwashed
They've
you.
brainwashed me. And so if you give me a good...
Yeah, if you run Randy from one action set piece to another fast enough,
I am able to ignore the fact that I am basically watching the GOP platform. Yes.
It's got to be like explosion, boobs, explosion,
Yeah.
boobs.
No, that's the
Euro
thing.
trash.
That's the thing. On the TV shows, they can't do the boobs, so they have to they substitute
They
torture.
could do boobs.
Explosion. I am disturbed that torture's the sub out for boobs.
Yeah, it is though. I swear to God, that's.
I mean, but have you talked to any incels? I'm not.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I'm not surprised.
It's
just
violence.
disturbed.
It's
Yeah,
violence
yeah.
instead of sex. That's what it is. It's more. It's yeah. It's creepy. But the thing is, like 24.
We used to get Porky's. Now kids get Saw 7. Is
Yeah,
that how this?
I loved 24. I watched 24 with friends when the last season came out because we were watching it on a level of this is bonkers and would never happen, and it, like we're like the lead character is supposed to be this big CTU operative, and at some point he just pushes a bad guy out the window. Like there is for how little respect law enforcement has for the rules anyway. Law enforcement in fiction gets away with
Yeah.
all kinds of shit. And
Usually after moralizing about the rules for an
Yes,
hour.
exactly.
Then they can just
You must
ditch
follow
them.
the rules unless you are a straight white man and you are the
In
rules.
this
Yes.
one situation, I am the rules.
And
Yeah.
so Jack Ryan is basically the updated 24. Like they've made nods toward, okay, maybe we're wrong about some things. Like Greer, Admiral Greer, who was like played by James Earl Jones in the movies. By the way, I should also say all the movies, all the movies with Harrison Ford and Alec Baldwin, Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Declared and Present Danger. I have huge fondness for all
I
three of
do
those.
love the hunt for
Yeah,
Yeah, I do love Hunt
Hunt
for
for
Red
Red October is
October.
great. It's so much better than
But
the
that
book was.
Scottish Russian accent's just the best.
Oh man, it's the best. So I have a fondness for the world for that, and I come in and they've got Wendell Pierce playing Greer as like a grizzled CIA agent. You put Wendell Pierce in something, I'm gonna watch it,
Yeah, I do
and-
like Wendell Pierce.
and he's good in this.
Still not going to watch this.
Can I tell you a mind-blowing fact that
Yes.
has nothing to do with
All right.
this beyond
Yes.
Sean Connery?
Yes, please.
Can you guess what his last appearance on a screen was?
It was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes,
I
that
know
blows
this.
my mind.
Yeah, and that's sad. That's an Alan Moore graphic novel that was really just terribly adapted into a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And I can sort of understand why you'd give up acting after that. You're like, well, it's never gonna get worse than that.
It just blows my mind.
What if the next script I get is worse than this? I'll have to kill myself. So
Whoa.
it makes sense.
Disclaimer.
So Jack Ryan, season 2, season 1, of course, was the 24 formula. So they had a lot of Islamic terrorism, and they tried their best to handle it with a bit of. Their nod to it was that Greer was a Muslim, and so he was the good Muslim, stopping the bad Muslims. And yeah, it's as awkward as you think, but it's the sad thing is it's still one of the best things Prime has put out. It's still
Have you watched Transparent?
okay. Transparent's one of the best things too, but I can't watch.
Have you
Jeffrey-
watched
I
I
can't
Love
watch-
Dick?
Yes, I hated it. I hated I Love Dick. Yes, I love Catherine Hahn. I love Kevin Bacon. I hated the pilot for that show.
Ooh.
And I
Wait,
can't.
you only watched the pilot?
I only watched the pilot.
You got to watch it.
That's
Beyond
not
the
gonna
Pilot.
happen.
You got to watch Beyond the Pilot.
I also can't.
It's the best thing I've
I
seen on
can't watch
television.
anything with Jeffrey Tambor anymore.
Though I'm realizing
Well-
with Transparent that like you can type Amazon series issues in for a
Yeah,
lot.
Oh
exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
Amazon has
Yeah.
a whole mess of them. But
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, the-
you should watch at least the Musicali finale of Transparent.
So
I don't-
There's lots of problematic things with Jill Soloway and
Yeah, I
obviously
know.
with Jeffrey
That's-
Tambor, but
yeah.
like the series is.
I love Transparent, and I fell off it large, and then I didn't come back because of the problematic stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jack Ryan, this season,
we're going to talk about a better show, Randy. Damn it.
I just wanted to get it in here at some point. I'm perfectly happy with this discussion. But Jack Ryan, it takes place in Venezuela. Basically, there's this
Are we going to talk about how the CIA causes all problems in South America?
and that's the thing. It is basically, it should be about that.
But
And
it's going to be
instead-
America's fixing everything,
Instead,
just
they've-
like we did in Uruguay.
They've got their Hugo Chavez fill-in guy. They've made him a fictional character so that they could do some
Don't
crazy
believe
shit.
in socialism, kids.
And then they've got this new reforming woman who's like running against him, and she's pro America now because of course she is. But she's presented as the hero. Their fake Hugo Chavez is an evil dictator type who Jack goes down there with Greer. They're looking into a weapons platform that was launched on a boat, some boat from out of Venezuela that launched a Chinese missile or whatever it is, some reason to get them down there investigating. And the president was doing something illegal. And to avoid being caught, he murders Jack's friend, a U.S. senator, in the street.
So you wanna
Not
know-
by himself.
is
He does
what-
have people. He does hire someone, but it's not far removed because in episode 4, Jack and Greer are They're pretty sure he did it. They can't prove anything. They're in the room with the Venezuelan president. The president of a sovereign nation, by the way, Jack Ryan, low-level CIA analyst, goes up to him and says, "I know you killed my friend." The president of Venezuela. And here's the thing. I still enjoyed this show, but you got to be on board with shit like that to enjoy this show. And it's dumb as hell.
I'm just going to go rewatch Comrade Detective.
That's what I just pulled up.
Same.
I literally was like, wait, it was Comrade
Which
Detective.
is also on Amazon Prime.
It's the only unproblematic Amazon Prime show.
Yes. So if you want straight up 80s Cold War action, Comrade Detective.
I can't have somebody who doesn't take himself at least a little bit seriously. I'm actually
It is a good show.
Good show.
I did not win me over either.
I enjoyed the shit. out of Comrade Detective.
But
I fucking love Comrade Detective.
I think Jack Ryan does what it does very well, which is solid action, stupid plots that make you think they're not stupid long enough to watch it. And even though the finale has him rescuing his friend who's been kidnapped by the Venezuelan president who's about to lose his election.
What? He's a white savior?
And
Never.
he brings in his ex-black, the rest of his black ops team to raid the presidential palace in the middle of a victory party for the election to go rescue his friend, which is highly illegal and the kind of thing that causes wars.
Right.
But it's Jack Ryan and it's John Krasinski, and therefore we're supposed to be rooting for it. And I just, it is one of those things, if you can turn your brain off and enjoy the action of it, and I have, like I said, I have this bit of me, because I watched so many 80s action movies, that I enjoyed this for that. But there's a segment of the population this show is for...
dads.
It is for dads. And the thing is, I'm not watching, like, this is why I go to my more conservative in-laws, and when they want to talk TV, because they know I watch TV, and they would talk about 24. And I'm like, oh yeah, I watch 24. We're watching different versions of 24.
Oh, yeah.
Because to me, it's action comedy. To them, it's celebration of patriotic America. And I'm like, it's the same thing with Jack Ryan. I'm like, no, I'm watching this because it's ridiculous and because the action's beautiful and because the set design is great and I like the actors. But I am not... I can't get on board with the things you guys are selling here.
I'd rather just rewatch the 80s movies because the explosions are better.
Yeah, same. I did have that moment discussing Homeland with my parents one time of like, we were watching vastly different shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd rather just go back and rewatch like Cobra or something.
Bloodsport.
Anyway, 2/3 of the TV dudes vehemently recommend against you watching Jack Ryan.
Yes. Comrade Detective, though, I love that we both looked that up at the same time.
I was just like, wait, what's the non-problematic version of this show?
What is the opposite of this?
Comrade Detective.
All right.
Thank you, Channing Tatum.
That is it for us this week. We'll be back next week with more stuff. And until that time,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.